Hey guys, I hope you are well. You are live on the Talk Quiz today with me, your host, Nat Rich. It is a Saturday night. We are staying in. We don't have a choice to go anywhere, to do anything, or to be anything other than here right now. But we're in the mood. So we hope we're going to keep you entertained in some way. And for anybody who's watching this afterwards, we hope that you can share this with your friends, because we're going to go deep into emotions today. And we're going to talk about how we really feel, because everybody's going through it in many different ways. So we just want to be honest. We want to discuss where our heads are at, what our bodies are feeling, and kind of tuning in and tapping into the real stuff rather than the surface level conversations. So tonight I am joined by Joel/J Brave here once again. How are you, Joel?
Boop, boop, boop. I'm doing okay. Thank you for having me again. I love nothing more than having a conversation with you, and what a better way to do it than in front of your ever-growing and expanding audience.
Thank you very much. That was lovely. And then we've got Joanna Barber, this is your second time on the show, and she joined us. Was it last week you joined us? In my first week?
It was the week. Maybe actually it was last week. Last Friday.
It was only last week.
Last Friday.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah, because you two on the show together, weren't you?
We were indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you for introducing me.
No problem. It's a nice delight to share what Joanna's doing with the world, because Joanna's got this incredible project where I'm going to actually let you introduce it again, because you say it better than I do.
Okay, so it's called the 60 experiment. It's 60 days alcohol and drug free. It's about finding a better balance with drugs and alcohol, basically. And it's not for it's not rehab. It's not like if you've got huge addictions and you just can't stop taking drugs. It's if perhaps the balance is tipped in the wrong way and you're perhaps using them a little bit too much, a little bit too frequent, perhaps using them to a bit of escapism because you're bored, which obviously the last year has been very boring. So just trying to get that balance back again and understand what you want from life, and that getting shit all the time is probably not exactly what you want from life every day.
Maybe.
So we're 2 weeks in, and it's going maybe sometimes, but 2 weeks in, it's going really well. There's 47 of us now on this, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm loving it. Super nice to help people. The group is magical. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's worth every single minute at my laptop.
Yeah. So when you say it's a lot of work, is it is it more kind of admin based, organizing that amount of people in a group? Is it just being responsible and being there for answering questions and stuff? What's the hard bit?
So we have a Slack channel. So all of us are in the Slack channel and we're chatting on there all day. So obviously people need support or they just want to chat and stuff. That's the ultimate fun bit, because it's just like having a chat with loads of your mates. But we also have a personal development video, an interview with the DJ, a weird science video, so science about our bodies or our brains and how alcohol and drugs affects that, and something creative like activity. So next week's physical health week, and we're doing loads of physical health activities, and we're also doing a Zoom quiz on the Saturday night. We do a workout every Saturday morning. So there's a lot of recording videos, there's a lot of sitting in front of my wonderful ring light, which is here, so it is a lot of work, but also I am learning so much with every single week, about myself, about other people, about our brain, about our bodies. I'm also going through loads of personal development myself, and I feel like working with all these people has helped me get rid of some of my demons and make me clearer on my mission in life and stuff. I feel like I've ended one journey, which was a really hard one, which involved drugs and alcohol a lot, and I feel like I'm starting on a whole new one, which is amazing. It's been incredible. Only day 13, so we have another 47 to go, so fingers crossed we'll make it to the end and it'll still be incredible, and I won't be pulling my hair out or I've got it. So far so good.
Yeah, I think we're going to have you back every couple of weeks or so, or every 3 weeks, and see how you get on and watch the progress of what you're doing, because I think it's really good to external support for you as well, to kind of tap into another network. So I think there's going to be a lot of people wanting this, and to see how you go, because it's a deep subject, giving up alcohol, especially in times like we're in right now, where a lot of people are reaching for a bottle. Putting it out of sight and out of mind is quite difficult. So hats off to you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
And then we have Danny. and Danny Raheem. So Danny and I met at Ministry of Sound, same place as me and you, Joel. We met Danny at the same place, and it was actually at a speakers event, wasn't it? You just finished, and when was this? This was just over a year ago, I think. Yeah, it was a Christmas party or something you were at, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And and then we went for a few coffees and stuff afterwards in different places, and just getting to know you and love you more, and with your journey. And you actually decided to give up alcohol, I think, for a little bit at that time, and go on like a bit more of a health kick. But do you want to tell everyone what you're doing now? Because you've gone from acting into something a little bit more personal, which is quite cool.
Yes. So hello, everyone. My first time on the show. So just getting a feel for it. Nat promised me a hot chocolate, so that's why I'm here. But hearing Joe's story, I can see there's a lot of similarities, and it probably sets the theme of this chat quite well. So yeah, I'm an actor. I do that, but I'm also a mental health speaker. I sort of wear a few hats, but I think what's probably more relevant here is the journey of meeting Nat, being very intrigued as to when she decided to, actually when we met was at, like you say, at a Christmas party, and fascinated me when we got chatting that you were just like, oh, I've stopped drinking, and I was intrigued by that because unbeknownst to me at the time, there was alcohol was very much part of my routine. I would never be at home drinking myself. I would never have a drink by myself, but the London scene, every 6 out of 7 nights I was out having dinners and drinks and this and realizing actually I was drinking a lot, just in a kind of social setting, and that kind of tracked back to why was I out so much, and that kind of sort of deep fear of being alone. I didn't like really being alone at home by myself, particularly when I had, as an actor, you have a lot of time by yourself, studying scripts and doing your bits. Can be quite an isolated life. And so me going out every evening, meeting everyone, was my way to kind of have some human connection. But then I didn't realize how that was becoming interlaced with alcohol. So was very inspired by you, Nat, with the story of, I think one thing I always remember you told me, you said, you wrote down on a piece of paper everything bad that had happened in your life, and then you put a little tick like, was alcohol involved? And everything that bad had happened in your life was alcohol. And I was like, what? Yeah. I need to be rethinking some stuff here, because I was probably making some quite bad decisions at the time. And so subsequently, COVID came, forced us into a lockdown. And at that point, it was a choice really of, I had some of my friends that went down the route of how early's too early for the first glass of wine, and it's like 11 in the morning. And I thought, wow. Or, flip to the other side and exercise, train, do your bits, and just get focused. And that led me to start a counselling course, to be a counsellor. Then I just finished level 3 of that. Then I'm going into some coaching. But yeah, it's something really strange has happened in the last, year where alcohol has been hugely reduced, or if not absent, in a large proportion of my life, and stuff is just going, what? And it could just be coincidental, or the fact that there's more time to focus, or I'm making better choices. But whatever it is, something very positive is happening energetically. And the year's just got off to a great start. And I'm dry Jan, although I did start on the 4th. But yeah, just so sorry to waffle on there, but yeah, that's sort of where I feel like I kind of fit in this program today. Is probably that little bit of being someone that was very much on the London scene every night of the week, and now I'm someone that goes for a walk and listen to a podcast on a Friday night. I know actually that's what we've got to do, what we can do, but I don't think when we kind of hopefully rebound back into some form of normality, I will pick up those old habits too quickly.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're waffling on. I think you're answering the question that I asked you very well. So it is, and it's about noticing the changes within ourselves and seeing what's different for us. I did give up alcohol, and my life did get ridiculous in terms of how much better it got pretty quickly. It did get very hard, but there were so many plus things. I couldn't look back and go, oh my God, this is the wrong thing to do. It was like, this is the right thing to do, and I need to do it everywhere. But I went on a bit of like, people always say to me, you're really good at giving stuff up, because I hack stuff out of my life and then I'm done. And but it didn't mean that it wasn't easy, and that so it wasn't hard for me, and there was other things that came up. But everyone at the moment, I personally, whenever I've been doing these shows with the different titles of the shows, whatever I'm discussing that day seems to come up for me. Like yesterday was some money things that came up for me that I needed to deal with. Today, I spent some significant time of this morning just crying, because I just felt like, where is my head at? What is, I know what I'm doing every day is coming on here at 7:00 every night. It's for myself as well as it is for everyone else. But just showing up and connecting and kind of being consistent with myself is a discipline for me, because my other disciplines have kind of like dropped off quite a lot over this period of time. I'll either have meditation for a while, or I'll have healthy eating, or I'll have walking, or I'll have exercise. But very rarely am I managing to get all of them in one day, which I would love to, but I just haven't, because I've just been feeling the weight of the world and looking out, and I'm available to a lot of people. And I've had to say no to some people, which has really hurt me as well, because I like it when they call me and I can help them in some way. But it's when I'm speaking to people, the conversations are getting heavier and heavier and darker and darker and deeper and deeper, and I can't handle as many of those conversations as I used to be able to, if I'm not putting in my self-work to a level that I can energetically handle those conversations. So today was, I spoke to Steph, who might be watching this at some point. I spoke to my friend Steph, and I noticed that my mind, and I'll tell you, I'll be very clear of what happened. I had not heard from Steph for a couple of days, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know that before, when I spoke to Steph, that some of the family, all of her family got COVID, and there was a few other things going on that were personal and that mattered. And if I'd not heard from her, I'm thinking, oh God, I hope everything's all right. So when I left a voice note saying, hey, I didn't hear from you, I hope everything's okay, I started thinking about your family, then about your other friend, and then this. And as I'm reeling off her problems that I thought might be the problem for her, I realized as I'm saying it, I just tuned into her negativity, like kind of not negativity, but her kind of downtime, attached myself to it. And then I started crying my eyes out on the voice note to her and just being like, I'm going to go now. I've made myself so, because I was attached to the fear, because I was just like tuning into that. And I zoned in on it for ages. And I was really feeling it. And I was just like, wow. And I'm finding myself attaching to the negative cycles out there. Not that it's all negative, but to heavier subjects, and finding it hard to stay afloat. So when I looked again at my diary and was like, this is going to be about where's your head at and where's your feelings at, it's going to be like, oh God. So I'm going to try not to cry on this one, which I'm not going to do at the moment. But I've cried 4 times this week in 6 shows. So, but in a good way, But I wanted to, I'll start with you. Yeah, thank you. It's just like, it's good when you cry, but it's like some of them I don't expect. It's like, here she goes. But I'm going to start with you, Joel. From being a family man and things changing for you, and you're quite a creative, you've got a very expansive mind, just like me. What has, obviously things have changed a lot for you. But where has your mind been, like in this, since Christmas? Because obviously last year was a big thing for us all. But this year, have you changed? Have you kind of gone into feeling more? Are you having the same experience as me? Where are you at the moment in your heart and your mind?
Well, thanks, for the question. I think what I recognized at the top of last year was, for my own sanity, especially in a world full of flux. I have a 2-year-old daughter. I've moved house last year during the coronavirus, and I was meant to actually be moving country. But then as we were moving, lockdown happened 2 weeks before we were going to move. So that changed everything, changed all of our plans, changed our thoughts for our daughter's education. So many things happened. But what I recognized, and again, nodding my head to one of my favorite films, Inception, is you sometimes need to have like what they have in a film, a totem, or something which can, in essence, ground you to your own reality, or to your own kind of where you see yourself at. So as the world is all flux around you, there's one thing that you can keep on looking at, and it remains constant. And in that constant, you can then build from there. So for me, what I did, and again, as I'm progressing in age, I thought, and without the ability to go to gyms, I thought what would be a really good thing to build into my life is a new physical habit of just turning up for yourself every day and doing 50 press ups. And that's where it started. And so every day before, I could eat anything because actually as well, I also started intermittent fasting as well last year. So I only eat in an 8-hour window. But again, it's just something that was for me. But by doing these press ups, and I could only do them in the morning before my window would start, it kind of gave me almost like a metronome in my own life, like a constant that I knew that, right, I can't have breakfast until 11 a.m., but I also can't have breakfast until I've completed my press ups. And so in essence, I just kind of created a little system with myself that it's not big. It's not like, blowing trumpets. It's not something you tell the world about, but it was something for me that every single day you do it, you do it, you do it, you do it. And now again, also, I mean, it's not really enough for you to kind of come the end of the year, be Arnold Schwarzenegger, like pumping iron or anything, but it's just enough to kind of give you a little bit of cardio strength, a little bit of of muscle development. But ultimately what it did was it just kind of like gave me something that I look forward to. Now, I'm not looking forward to it in the sense of I really don't actually enjoy doing them, but I mean, it gave me something to look forward to, that I know that no matter what the day, no matter days we've had to go to the hospital, days you had to move, days you had to do other things where you just don't know where your day is going to end, or it sometimes feels rudderless. But by doing one simple action and just like sticking to it, it kind of has ended up giving me more kind of equilibrium and mental peace than I could have ever imagined. And so over the course of the year, that actually built up from 50 to 100. And now I'm doing every single day a 300 rep set, which is 100 press ups with 100 crunches and 100 squats. But again, back in January 2020, when I started this, like thinking of doing those 300 repetitions across 3 different parts of my body would have been, just no way. It would have been insurmountable. Just like it's too much. But by building bit by bit, like it makes you recognize that anything that you want in this life, anything that you want, all you have to do is build slowly towards it. When you think of an idea of a destination, like I need to go to the shop, all you kind of have to do is imagine the steps that it takes for you to get from there to the shop, and you will be at the shop. Similarly, in your life, with decisions that you make and things that you want to do, if you see where it is you want to go, and then you measure out the incremental steps that it takes to get there, you will get there. And so I think just by using a physical marker to remind me of that mental, spiritual, emotional connection to life, to myself, has just kind of done wonders for me. And the beauty of it as well is again, my daughter here with me in lockdown, wife with me here in lockdown, they've both also started doing their own. So my wife is now doing exercise, her own kind of fitness regime. But our daughter, she just loves coming and using her own little. She's got a little kind of play kitchen. In her play kitchen, she's got a little broom. But she now uses the broom as if it's a bar, doing a snatch and raise, snatch and raise, because she's just watching me doing it every single day, or watching me doing repetitive. And so it's already building habits for her, but habits which will ultimately strengthen her own resolve and her own connection and conversation with herself, but also bonds us together because she's seeing it as something that I do and that I am doing religiously. And so in essence, again, it is exactly. And so I think sometimes when we think of even the word religion or doing something religiously, there is the idea of the Abrahamic religions come to mind and the problems that we have in our world and the Middle East and all these things. People are, ooh. But religion can actually be your own religion. It can be your own practices and mantras that you put into your own life that give you stability and give you direction. And so although I would say to somebody who is uninitiated in the conversation, I'm not religious. I am religious, but my religion is myself and spirituality is my key.
Oh, I like that.
Lovely.
Very succinct at the end there. Ooh. And what about you, Danny? What's your thoughts and feelings? Where are you at emotionally? What's kind of keeping you floating?
It's so interesting hearing Joel speak, because I think right then a penny just dropped for me, and it was my life was complicated and now it's not. It was just, I was listening and I was thinking, wow, that is exactly what has happened for me. My life was complicated and had so much noise, and now it doesn't. But there is still noise that's out there, but I have control of what I want to hear. I have control of that tap. Am I turning on the news? Am I listening to this? Am I picking up that phone? I'm in charge of it all. And I think, you know, as I said, I'm doing this counselling course at the moment, and every week I have this catch up with my peers on this course, and we have, you know, as you come and sit in, you have a 5-minute sort of check-in, 10-minute check-in. How's everyone doing? And I noticed, I was like, blooming hell, there's a lot of doom and gloom in this group. You know, I really, there's a lot of parents, there's a lot of people with responsibilities, there's a lot of people who are kind of elderly, and I realised actually I'm very, very fortunate that all I sort of really have to think about is myself and my immediate family, but they're all happy and healthy at the moment. But the light has turned inward so much, and I started off with Deepak Chopra's 21-day meditation abundance challenge. I'm now doing some Mind Valley super brain stuff, and I'm reading a lot, I'm walking a lot. Alcohol is very, very limited. I'm exercising. Like, I feel like I'm heading towards being the person that I want to be. And actually, a year ago, 2 years ago, if I look objectively over that situation, I'm a bit disappointed in myself, actually. Some of the decisions I made, some of the things that I did, some of the people I may be upset, generally female partners, but never intentionally, just being so oblivious to it all. And now I feel clear, I feel present, I feel ready, excited. So, you know, every morning wakes up, as Joel was saying, I have a structure now. I get up, I turn a podcast on for an hour, I listen to something for an hour. So really it shouldn't be phone time, but my phone is where that stuff is. So I put that on, I listen to it, and I get up, I do some stretches, I have a nice healthy breakfast. So my routine now compared to what it was a year or two ago, and you know, I've been with my current girlfriend now for about 18 months, and she noticed, she said to me, wow, because she recently had a birthday, and she said to me, wow, just how her birthday was last year with us out, and it was you know, it was just a bit wild, and this argument, you know, and it's just like now it's settled, it's calm, and although there is all this noise and uncertainty and whatever going on around us, I choose at the moment not to hear it, because I know, Nat, you and I have had these conversations before about me saying I choose not, you know, when we go down these rabbit holes and you open that thing and you all of a sudden you're down there and you're panicking about that, and I'm sort of choosing to step back and just focus on the very immediate circle. What does my body and my mind need today? And if it's not useful to me, I don't access it, I don't use it. So really just keeping it simple, keeping it very simple. And I teach I got this little program I go to schools and I teach, and it's called Back to Basics. You know, the simpler times when you were a little baby and you cried when you needed certain things and you got those things and you went to sleep. Like, it's about taking it right back to that time when things were simple. And I know there are things going on environmentally that we have little control over, but that's the point. We don't have much control over that, and so therefore I choose not to spend too much time ruminating or getting upset, or you know. And that may change if a relative gets sick, you know, then my world may shift a little bit. But you know, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, and I don't want to sit in fear and being anxious for the next month of something that might not ever come to fruition.
Totally, I get that, and I feel like you've changed a lot. I don't know what's happening with Jo, by the way, but she'll be coming in and out, so there you go. But yeah, I feel like you've kind of calmed down. You're more reflective now and looking inwards and stuff, which is good. And it is, you know, there's such an important time now to be able to go in and and when we say go in, it's like really start looking at yourself inside, start looking at what's bothering you, start looking what's triggering you, start making those changes you need to change. Because and I mean this with all the love and, you know, respect, that if you're not going to change now, in a global pandemic, when you've been given the opportunity to sit on your ass, you're never going to change. And it's like, people are like, oh God, now I have to change. You know, what else is there to do? And it's everyone's changing together. There's a real community vibe, even though it's very lonely for a lot of people, is that everyone's knowing that podcasts are now probably better, you know, in the morning than having a hangover. And there's loads of different things that we could replace with the old that we had and bring it into the new. And it's I don't know what she's got here from the I'm gonna remove that one. But yeah, it's basically, you know, for a lot of people, it is scary out there. And we've had these conversations before, Danny. There's a lot of people looking at what's going on in the world. And some people want to look, some people don't. And it's entirely up to every single person whether they want to or they don't. And there's a lot of people that are, when they do look, it terrifies them. So they don't look. And that isn't actually helping them, but it's helping them stay okay now. But in terms of not being aware of what's actually going on, where they need to be making changes or taking precautions to help themselves move on in a different way, if you don't know, it's a different space to be in. But not many people can deal with what's going on in the world, and a lot of stuff's being forced on them. And that's very tricky for people, because so many people I know are having arguments. There's three things people are having arguments about now. There's masks, vaccine, and Trump. And those three things are coming up for a lot of people. And it's disturbing. It's disturbing. And we won't go into them in terms of those sections, but there are three big conversations on top of a global pandemic, on top of whether you're in the right job, on top of whether you're in the right relationship, on top of whether you've got enough money to be able to survive whatever's going to happen, that you don't want to look at. Everyone's questioning everything. And it's such an unstable time. And you just said, like, back to basics. Back to basics is, you know, that's what we have to go to now. We have to go right back to the very beginning of what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't, it's got to go, you know, and that could be people, that could be relationships, that could be things that don't serve you. I know, Joe, you've been in and out doing your organizing yourself with the screen. I don't know what's been happening, but I'll join you in the conversation.
My internet is driving me mad. Sorry about that, but
no, okay.
It's sorted now. I'm now on my husband's phone, so it should be fine. Anyway, sorry.
So we're just saying that, you know, there's lots of things that people are, you know, having to get rid of in their life. So I'm going to ask you, in terms of things that you've had to let go of, with your realizations of obviously not giving up, you know, with giving up alcohol. What else have you had to let go of serving you, and what have you replaced it with?
Things I had to let go of. Oh, wow. So belief systems. There's lots of things about myself I've had to let go of, like, like belief systems, like lack of self-worth, drugs, alcohol, obviously, friends as well, certain friends, feelings for past relationships, anger towards my parents, anger about my childhood, like so much. And it gets replaced. I guess I don't know whether replaced is the right word, because I don't think you can replace it. But what fills the space and time is actually a whole lot of love and a whole lot of healing. And like in the last year, like I've got over some things which I've held inside, and they've burned a hole through me. And just being able to release those, and then it's like, oh, well, I'm more than capable of helping someone else. Like, cool, let's do it. And feeling like my cup is so full, and in fact it's overflowing, and I'm like, have some of this, please. Like, this is my energy. Like, I want to give it to you, and that is an amazing feeling. And I went through, at 19, I was diagnosed with clinical depression, and I had been suffering for the whole of my teenage years, basically, and then never really dealt with what caused that. And then being able to do that as an adult and just get rid of all of that and just leave it all behind and say, thank you very much. I really appreciate the lessons that you taught me, but that belongs over there now, and be able to move forward with like a clear head and happiness. Like, just recently, like, I've been really feeling the burn of lockdown, like really feeling it, like, it's hard, man. Like, I'm in Berlin and we've been in lockdown since the beginning of November, and like Corona turned my job upside down. Like as a DJ agent, there's no work. I retrained as a personal trainer. Then they shut the gyms. Like, so just like constantly like, oh my God. But even though I'm like sad about lockdown, there's something different inside me compared to like being depressed. And just to be able to acknowledge that and be like, oh, I'm sad and it's hard, but I'm not sad. I'm not like sad. My soul isn't sad. My soul is actually full and happy. I'm just struggling because I don't want to be locked inside all day, and I want to be able to go outside and go run. But when it's -3, it's really hard to find the motivation. So yeah, did that even answer a question, or did I just go off on one?
No, don't. Like, I love it how everyone goes, oh my God, did I go off on a tangent? I've had this every night. This is a radio talk show. There is no such thing really as a tangent, especially when I ask you a question. So this is a good time for you. And like Danny said, there's things when you listen to other people on a call, you start realizing other things for yourself as well. And it's just, this space is just about reflection and pulling bits of information and putting people together and just connecting. It's like, I don't have much of an agenda. You know, I've spent my life, you know, trying not to plan, because whenever I plan, it just goes tits up, and God's got a better plan. So whenever I have these conversations, I'm just asking out of the whim. I just feel to ask you, and you know, the questions are the, you know, the answers are the ones that you give, and it will trigger something else in someone else. So it is just a conversation around a table, kind of, in a virtual sense.
And to that point, Nat, actually, I actually wanted to ask Joanna a question on what you're saying. I was just wondering if you would care to elaborate on those belief systems that you were talking about, that you like kind of, is that kind of like, you know, Judeo-Christian, like national belief systems, yeah, just about what, sorry to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, more like belief systems about me, about my life, about the person that I am, the place that I come from, the people that I've been surrounding myself with, and who I think I should be, who I really am, like those kind of things, you know. And then also like having self-belief, like just like not believing in myself for so long and having like very little faith in my own ability to going to be like, well, actually, I think I'm pretty fucking cool. Like, this is cool. Like, I like myself. So, and that's really nice. And letting go of things that I think have hurt me along the way, and people that have hurt me, and just being like, and believing that they should be punished for what they did. Like, they're horrible. like I should, people feel sorry for me. Like, poor me, and get rid of that. You know, like get rid of the victim. Like, I'm not a victim. I don't want to be a victim. But for years and years and years, I was like, oh, I am a victim. Poor me. Like, everyone look after me. You know. So those kind of belief systems. If that answered your question.
No, it does. It's funny because I actually had a conversation with some friends this week, as you do on a platform like Instagram, where someone sent a meme, and it was about a wife who must have cheated on her husband, but then her new partner ended up being like a domestic abuser, and she contacted her ex-husband to say, can you come and help me out? Now, I had a lot of friends who, I mean, again, it was a learning curve for me, the whole conversation, but a lot of friends who were like, what would you do in this situation? And they were like, well, like, you know, leave her to die now, innit? Like, you know, she cheated on me. And like, I mean, for me, it kind of speaks to a punitive mindset, which is kind of actually quite fostered by a lot of our, you know, governments, think tanks, institutions in this world now, that if someone does something, you strike back 10 times harder. Or this kind of like erring towards pettiness, and people kind of think it's kind of really cool these days to be petty. And I'm just like, I really just can't wrap my head around it, because I said, like, look, for me, everyone I've ever loved, like ex-girlfriends, like literally the dog that I bought for my ex-girlfriend 3 ex-girlfriends ago, like I still have love for everything, everyone that I've ever loved. Because I think it speaks to you, not to them, like basically, or because they're no longer in your life. If I loved you once, why would I not love you anymore? Circumstances may have changed, but I still have the same love for you. Because for me to go back on my own decision means, what, was I not genuine at the time? Or so I mean, yeah, it's something that I'm still trying. It's something that I'm still trying to, like, you know, formulate fully in my head. But it was just a real kind of moment for me, hearing people's like kind of reaction. Always punitive, that if someone's wronged you once, that you hold against them on like some kind of emotional ledger forever. But I just don't allow things, people, situations to live in my head rent free. Like it's, I think again, this is what Danny was saying, that you are like, you know, the in control. If you understand that. I mean, because again, I also have to just kind of maybe put on the record that from an emotional sense, I am maybe quite privileged. My mum is or was during her academic career, she taught working with emotional and spiritual intelligence, and she became a national teaching fellow in the UK on subjects around organizational dynamics, but working on like in personal agency and on emotional intelligence. And so I was obviously raised around somebody who was happy to have those conversations and kind of, in essence, forged me, like, you know, in the heat of those scenarios, conversations, like current affairs, and seeing where we landed with it. Because now, for me, I understand that when I say some of these things, and again, I know that people sometimes read your Deepak Chopra's, others, or creative visualizations and go like, this is all wishy-washy, I don't see how it applies to me. But these things really do apply. Similar to that story that I just kind of shared in my last little kind of conversational burst about if you know where it is you're going to, even in like, you know, the untethered world, or even in the world of mental, or in the world of the abstract, it's very similar to the world of physical. If you know where the shop is, you can figure out the amount of steps it takes to get there. And you can do that in every single situation. But again, what you find is that we are our own obstacles with thoughts like what I was just describing, punitive thoughts about other people, thoughts about the world, and like, you know, I feel bad that these people have done this to me. And ultimately, all those things are distracting you from the path that you can define for yourself. And so I think, yeah, for me, I think the biggest thing that is, I think, maybe freed my mind and allowed me to kind of maintain sanity, even in and amongst, like, you know, those kind of physical markers that I built in, like, you know, the press ups, the fasting, the veganism, and these other things, is ultimately been able to let go. I remember a story that, like, you know, an elder when I worked at the Africa Center shared with me, and he said that so many people in this life are like a door that you can open one way, but then it slams shut. And then when it's shut, if you push at the shut door to push it against the direction of where the hinge is, it will ultimately break the door. He goes, what you need to be in life is like a dual, like the door that opens both ways, or like the revolving door, or a reed. So no matter which way the wind blows, it might blow you down this way, but when it stops, you'll be back. If it blows you this way, you go down, but then you come back. But it's when we are our own resistance, and that we actually then are part of our own breaking. We break because we are holding so tight. Once you let go, pushing. Exactly. Once you let go,
or wait for somebody else to open the door again and give you another opportunity, then go back through. You know, there's a couple of things that I hooked onto there, Joel. And if something doesn't add value, if I ask myself, if something comes up and I go, does it help me progress in where I want to be, or does it add value to my life or help me in some way? And if the answer is no, I just don't engage with it. And when you, Joel, when you were talking about, I think you said your daughter was holding the broom, and the way you described it, and you were so happy. And I thought, I've got so many friends at the moment that are seeing their kids grow up. They're at home, and it is squash, and it is a bit cramped. But there's, you know, my goddaughter, she's 1.5, and her dad's now getting to see her do all this stuff that he would have never, in a normal, get on your, you know, 1 hour commute to work, in the office till 9-10 o'clock. So there are beautiful things happening amongst all of this, and it's whether we choose to focus on those, or whether we choose to wake up every morning and go, oh, what's going on with the vaccine? I don't know. Am I getting one? Are you getting one? It's like you choose what to busy your day with, and that is your choice. And there is stuff that can warm you. Or what's the saying? There's radiators and there's drains. There's people that warm you, the radiators, or there's people that drain and suck and take from you, and you want to be keeping yourself warm as best you can, really.
I find that there's a lot for me that I'm aware of at the moment is I'm having a lot of conversations with people who are waking up spiritually this year, shall we say, who are really realizing that the shit has hit the fan and they are needing to change, and that requires a consistency I've never seen before by them. And waking up spiritually, if for those of you who don't really understand or know what that means, it just means that you change your level of perception about how this world works. Let's just say that for now. It's a whole deeper rabbit hole than that, but it's pretty much you start to see things in a different way, and you start to understand things that aren't always as you first thought they were. And a lot of people in life are looking for perfect. They're looking for perfect beings. They're looking for perfect leaders. They're looking for perfect companies. They're looking for perfect newspapers. They're looking for perfect Instagram posts. They're looking for this perfect, that perfect. And the world's crumbling. Every point of news or trust that we had in the world around us is crumbling in some way. And it's the rose tinted glasses have fallen off, and everyone's seeing everyone for what we actually really are right now. And that's imperfectly perfect. And we are broken in many places. We need to fix ourselves. We need to heal. We need to be whole in areas that we didn't know. We need to admit our flaws. We need to admit that we don't know. We need to admit that we can't make a decision. We need to admit that we've made some shit ones. We need to admit a lot, but we're doing it all at the same time. And as well as that, people are having to be forced into their homes. So they're really being forced to look inwards because there is nowhere else to go, thanks to Boris and the rest of the leaders out there. But there's a lot of, I joke when I say I'm going toe for toe with Boris, and I say I'm going to do this for as long as the lockdown continues. I'm showing up for myself. I'm going to be here every night. But what has really saddened me, and I've tapped into this a few times, is the level of hate and anger that comes out of some people's mouths that I would have thought were quite spiritual people before now, around what is happening on the planet, or if someone has a contradictory idea or a thought or a question, the level of anger and frustration and intolerance for other people's opinions that has made me so sad seeing this at the moment. And one of the things, and you can agree with me or not, because you may have your own understandings, but I'm not looking at this from a political point of view at all. I'm looking at this from a human point of view when I say this, and I mean this with, I'm not on anyone's side. But what we are experiencing now is a global bullying campaign against some of the biggest leaders on the planet. And no matter what these people do in power, it's a shit situation, and regardless of the conspiracy you believe in, what we're going on right now is we're seeing people making decisions, and our hate and our anger is coming out of us, and we're saying the horriblest things. We're slagging people off to the nth degree. We're saying we would have done better. We're saying we could do better. We've got like a global campaign around Donald Trump. Everyone's hating him. Everyone thinks he deserves everything he gets. People want him to burn in hell. That is someone's dad, granddad, brother, and son. And we are missing the point entirely. And we are experiencing this on a daily basis. And whether you agree with what he's done, it's the amount of hate and harm we have, and we're projecting at the moment on people we have never met and will probably never meet. And we're then arguing about that person that we've never met, that we've projected all this hate on, at home, in our kitchens, with our family, and falling out over our opinions about people we've never met. And that makes me so sad. And I really tap into that, because I think to myself, we're being divided, and not by the biggest conspiracy that's out there. We're all being divided. We're choosing to divide ourselves based on our opinions, not based on which rabbit hole you've gone down. We are actively choosing, like you were saying, Joel, we make those choices every day. And Danny was saying, you tune into what you want to tune into on your day. It is your choice. But when we make a choice, and if someone has a different one, it's becoming the biggest family drama, and we're breaking down. And that family unit that we've got has been ripped from underneath us. And it makes me so sad.
I believe, though, that,
go, Joel.
A lot of it, though, I think, and again, like I tried to caveat when I spoke before, that I didn't develop this mindset like overnight to be able to like kind of step back from these kind of things. And I think, again, without playing victim or letting others play victim, there has to be a recognition, though, that very powerful technology companies are manipulating people into these opinion silos that they would not otherwise have had. I mean, one of the most salient facts that I was listening to on another podcast, the Undivided Attention podcast, from the guys who made the Social Dilemma film, was about the fact that, say, even 20 years ago, like, we would all be watching the same Hugh Edwards telling us the same news on BBC, like, at 6. And regardless of what we felt, we were all like coming around the same central one piece of information. Now, every single one of us, even the 4 of us, as aligned as we may feel we are, if we were to look at our social feeds, like for us who use social or it's to whatever extent we use it, there will be different content for each of us, tailored to our engagement. And this is all to do with an attention economy, rather than to do with like the connection of people. And ultimately what underpins all of this is capitalism. Like we talked about even in the addiction show, that the addiction is not the substance, it is the system that pushes you to need these things rather than any of the substances, like, singularly. So I think, I mean, what you're saying, I do agree with it, but I feel maybe from the vantage point that I've been able to get to, that when I look back down the mountain, that I can only feel sorry for people caught in the avalanche that I've managed to climb past. Basically, I don't feel that those people who are getting those arguments, although I feel like, you know, I do feel sad, I also have to recognize that there is a level of, like, you know, like anger or disappointment that I do have to feel at those who have manipulated people to be in that situation, because ultimately you're right. People are at heart, like, you know, the reason that people can be stoked up so emotionally is because we are all emotional beings. Love could have been stoked up this way if love, like, met a profit motive, but it doesn't. What meets a profit motive is divide and conquer. The more individuals there are, the more people you can sell to. And so ultimately, I think, like, you know, as I said, as much as I sometimes want to be angry at people, angry at racists, angry at this person, I kind of have to look and, again, for a non-biblical person or a non-religious person in that sense, like I said before, I just think of those words that Jesus said, that Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
I love that.
You said something very interesting there, Joe, about connection as well. And Johann Hari's written a book about it. It's called Lost Connections, and he basically attributes depression down to your lack of community or your lack of your tribe. And I think during these times where people do feel very disconnected, hyping up the, you know, I'm on this side, I have that allegiance, why are you commenting on this? It makes people feel that they have value, they have that they get to feel something, they get to feel angry, or they get to feel elated because they're side one, or they and you know, that's the danger. I think people are isolated, they're alone, and like you say, these companies are capitalizing on that a bit. And what can I think, and how much time people are spending in front of screens at the moment. But Joe mentioned before, you know, this is a really good time to reflect. And I think the more you get in touch with yourself and connect with yourself, the less you're worried about all that external noise. And, you know, Nat, you know, we speak about this quite a lot, but these rabbit holes that you find yourself in, or these avenues that you go down, at some point in the day, you wake up and you engage in either a newspaper or some kind of digital.
I don't read the news.
Information, but you're getting this from somewhere, even if
I'm in the financial market, so a lot of it's related to wealth and finance and stuff.
Somewhere you are sourcing a perspective on information, and the question is then, is that adding value to your life? Is you know, as you describe, like, we're all effed or we're all heading somewhere and it's good to get awake now. The way I sort of look at that is, we might not be here in 3 months, as in hopefully all of us will be here, but if we do get this virus and it does have the worst effect, and we're not here, was it worth spending these last 3 months worrying about what may happen over there, or is it easier to just stay slightly oblivious? And you know, I think everyone will have their own opinion on that. But
I think that's the thing that I think. So I understand totally what you said, and I've agreed with that, in the sense of you have to choose what you're spending your time on. And I choose to spend my time looking at, for me, I want to create financial wealth for myself and to be able to move that forward. You can't really do that unless you fully understand discipline, a spiritual discipline, for you to be able to be dedicated to that, and also be aware of the world and the economy, of why it's changing and what's actually changing shape. So I can't avoid that in order to go where I want to go, and having a business that I want to future-proof, because I've seen, like, I came off social media before all of my friends, which was annoying for all of my friends. I stopped drinking before all of my friends. I stopped doing drugs before all of my friends. I have this thing where I feel that there's an importance for me to do this, what I'm doing now. And I've followed that. And this time at the moment is that I'm learning a lot about things that I don't necessarily want to. I wish I didn't know some of the stuff I knew. I really wish I didn't know it. And I wish it wasn't true, or whether it's not true, or that it's out there. But what I do know is that I am certain that I am equipped for whatever is going to come. I'm not at the mercy of anything. And I'd rather be prepared and ahead of time and experience times of feeling, fuck, I wish I didn't know that. Or yeah, it doesn't have a great outlook, because I can still tune out. I still meditate, not as much as I want to at the moment because I'm doing some of the bits and pieces, but I can still meditate. I still can go for a walk. I can still do other things, but I'm choosing what I go into and out to. I'm not ignoring anything, and I'm not subscribing to it because I daren't look. And I feel that right now it's in terms of personal responsibility that we have on this planet. It's like when you do self-work, you can't grow spiritually or become light or be a healer in any way, shape or form unless you're willing to look at your shit. And if you're not willing to look at your dark stuff, you ain't going to grow. You'll spiritually bypass that and pretend that you're okay. But at some point you will get your ass whooped. Speaking from experience, and everybody on a spiritual path will have been on the same one. You have to look at your darkness. And what's happening now in the world is, I'm not saying subscribe to a million YouTube channels and go down the darkest rabbit holes and tune into the BBC. If you need to know information, energetically, it will come to you. And you will find, that's how I get my information. I get good conversations and good things come to me. But what I'm willing to do is look, because then I can prepare, I can sort myself emotionally, and then I know how to act. And people come to me because I've done that, and I've been able to move myself out of that situation. But as globally in the world, we're not willing to look at what's happening globally as a collective to be able to solve the biggest problems we've ever had. This stuff in the world has come up right now for us to see that everything we once thought we could trust it, which we knew kind of deep down that we couldn't really trust it, have crumbled. And while my thinking is, and I'm not blaming you for what you're doing or anything, we've had these conversations before, and it is each person to their own. But while we're all over here looking in a different direction, some people might say that's creating a new world, but we're still not looking at what's happening. And it's really important now for people to look and make sure, because I've still got friends that are spending, and I'm talking about spending seriously. Even though we're not going anywhere, they're still spending lots of money, and they're still kind of making these different plans. They're on furlough. They don't know if their businesses are going to be there for them to go back to, because they haven't met the year end financially, which doesn't come until another couple of months yet. They're not making any form of changes or plans that are going to secure them moving beyond 2-3 months. And I'm not asking you to go down a rabbit hole. I'm asking you to wake up and say, hey, I need to be able to eat in 3 months and queue up at the shop for as long as it takes to get the food. But it's, where's that money coming from? And I look at it from a financial perspective, not from a conspiracy perspective. We're living on a crumbling system, and that's going to go very soon. And what's going to come is some amazing inventions, some incredible energetic times. We're going to be coming together in different communities. We're going to come together like at the beginning of lockdown. You remember when everybody started doing charity for everyone, and everyone was coming together and supporting each other? It was when Black Lives Matter happened that everybody kind of distanced again, because it was media kind of hype, which we've talked about, Joel. But we're going to have these times where we're going to need to be looking at what's going on, because it's crumbling. And that's the bit that I do get sad about, because I'm human. I can't tune out of that because I'm an empath. I'm very real and I'm doing it.
I think the point is, in the first instance, look inwards before you start looking outwards and try and fix the world. It's easier to pick out a problem than it is to find a solution. And actually, if we were more inclined to spend a bit more of the time we've got now, and perhaps more of the energy in finding solutions, it'd be a much more productive environment. But it's very quick to point fingers and blame, and say he or she did this, can't believe he's done that. And it's just, is that a good space, a good use of your energy? No.
If there was no media, I mean, God, imagine if we had a world with no media, and it was we just had the world that we lived in. And maybe even if we had a really nice kind of social media that was actually for our benefit, but we had a world of no media, we would be in an entirely different space.
Well, that's
the dictionary would have like 5,000 less adjectives. Because you wouldn't need to label people and process them down to they're hot, this person's this person. adjectives are in essence part of what differentiates us from each other. Rather than saying you're a human, I'm a human, it's like, no, you're a blonde from this part of town who wears this, and the adjectives are what separates us.
Yeah, totally. It's a strange world that we live in, and it's getting stranger by the day. But I do feel that, you know, more than anything, you know, I feel that people are waking up and we are moving. Although I'm looking at this, what people might consider doom and gloom when it's just, you know, looking at finances and economics and stuff. But it's like, if that's all I was looking at, I'd be terrified, absolutely devastated. But I'm seeing some of the most incredible projects come into life. I'm seeing some of the most ridiculous personal transformations that I've ever seen. I'm seeing some people doing the work that I never thought they'd do. And then some people that I thought was super spiritual and, you know, really going to survive this kind of time, falling on their ass. It's like I'm being surprised everywhere I look. And I love that I believe we're going in a different direction. I know some people think that we are, and like, I think that's the interpretation that you've got from me, Danny, is that we're going to doom and gloom. I don't think it's just that. I think we're going into somewhere very real that we can't avoid, but I think what comes out of that could be something pretty beautiful.
Yeah, embrace the change.
I'm personally quite excited about what is to come, like, in the world. Like, I feel like there are so many people waking up, there's so many people acknowledging the shit but also acknowledging the good, and that actually, like, you know, when people come together and they're all like on a different plane to what we get fed by the mass media, it is an exciting time. Like, it is, and people are waking up and people are opening their eyes and they're just starting to question things that we would never question before. And I think that's exciting as well, because obviously the more questions you know, the more questions you ask, the more you're going to find out. And then you realize how much you really don't know. But then you're like, okay, so maybe I've just been fed shit. Maybe I thought I knew everything, but I didn't. Like, and there's a whole world out there. And I think it's exciting. It's also massively scary when you look at, like, the environment. And I'm sure all of you have seen David Attenborough's film, and, like, that is scary to think, oh my God, like, we need to wake up much quicker. But also the fact that so many people are watching it and so many people are caring and so many people are not just looking at their own lives and it's all like, oh, we're all in this together. I think it's exciting. And I think there is, like, out of the dark. And what did I hear the saying the other day? Like, the darkest time of the night is before the dawn. Did I hear that?
Yeah,
Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, and, like, you know, the sun is going to shine and people can shine. I personally am excited.
I love that. Does anybody want to add anything before we wrap it up for the day?
Positivity.
Love it. What's the most positive? Well, actually, let's do this. Top 3 things that you're looking forward to, Danny, moving forward. Personal or external, doesn't matter either. Top 3 things.
My connection with my family over this period has definitely increased. I'm looking forward to that growing. I'm not as busy. Well, I have more time to focus on that, even if they are FaceTime. So I'm embracing that. Some very positive changes in my what I'm doing for work. You know, I took on a level 2 counselling course a year ago because I had time, and I thought, you know what, I can't work now. I'm just going to go and do this course. And it was on the back of this Deepak Chopra thing. And, you know, I started that and I thought, let's do a bit more. But because I enjoyed it so much and I learned so much, I went on the level 3. And now in September, I'm starting this coaching. So, you know, that's so educational wise, health wise. So education, health and family connection.
Love it. What about you, Joe?
3 things I'm looking forward to. That is a tough one. I mean, the first one that came to my mind, and it's literally, I started spinning off there a little bit, was this decentralization. To kind of put that into a nutshell for people, even looking at stuff like Bitcoin, the blockchain, cryptocurrency, ways of, like, you know, taking centralized power and giving it back to people. In essence, decentralization means that there are no longer super nodes and metropolises, but communities again. Humans are meant to thrive in groups of up to 100, not groups of 10 million. So once we can kind of actually then as well use all of the land we have rather than park it so some rich guy somewhere else owns 1,000 acres and then 1,000 people live on 1 acre, So decentralization as a concept, and as it moves and as it takes off into the world, is something that I'm greatly looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to new method permaculture and new methods of, in essence, agriculture projects that I've been involved in that I'm really excited about, because again, this is going to become part of, I believe and I hope, especially for my daughter and children I have, or children that will be in my kind of circle, part of a new kind of educational curriculum. There's no point in learning things from Victorian era still now, which relevant to the Industrial Revolution, but answer the future we're moving into. So new education as well. And then probably lastly, the third thing I'm looking forward to is continuing having conversations with like-minded people that ultimately brings us to a place where we can build our own communities from the bottom up, rather than waiting for the top down.
I love that. It's very philosophical viewpoint as well. Love it. And then what about you, Joanna? I know you're already full of positivity in the corner there, but I want to know your top 3 things that you're looking forward to.
Top 3 things, hugging my friends this year, because some of them I haven't seen in over a year. Some of my best friends in London. I am so looking forward to getting onto a dance floor again, or going to a festival. And those are just 2 obviously very personal things. But I'm looking forward to the next generation coming through and showing us, like, and being the change that we all feel now. That I didn't necessarily inherit, like, right values from my parents. I didn't necessarily get the things that I feel like I am now. And I'm so looking forward to the next generation and them just being more open and asking more questions, and just like, just being the change that we all feel is happening, and the actual change happening. So I love that. Well, I will say my 3. So I am looking forward to having I Am Sound TV set up and fully functioning. So it's like even bigger, and I've got loads more content with loads of different people just to share the ideas. Yeah, sharing the ideas of my network. It's like on that TV station is really exciting for me, because although it might sound like I'm into doom and gloom, I promise you, with permaculture, it's looking at finances, it's looking at Bitcoin, it's looking at the future of the systems, the decentralized systems. You can't look there unless you're looking at what's broken and how you can fix it. And that for me just makes me excited. I'm really looking forward to having more time to myself, which I'm now creating and carving out, which is great. I've only got this in the evening. In the daytimes, I've got most of the time to myself, and it's just making it stay like that for as long as possible. I'm looking forward to that. And then also, I think for the whole world, waking the F up and realizing that we are the change that we need to see. You know, we are the ones that can do this, and we don't need to be relying on the Twitters and the Facebooks. And I'd love social media to crash, because I think it's the worst thing in the world. But, you know, I know a lot of people have their lives on there, which makes me sad at the same time. So my ideas aren't that great, because I don't want people to crumble. But I would absolutely love for people to go, I don't need to have a business that's only on one platform. I can, you know, go and meet people face to face. I can get out the door. I can go and hug people, like you said, Joanna, like, you know, seeing people again. That would be amazing, just to know that you could, like, you know, most people can just go to their grans when they want to. They're like, oh, I'm just going to go to Nan's house. I'll see you later. And that be a thing that we're allowed to do. Like, it would be
insane if Instagram or Facebook said, we're now going to start charging you £10 if you want to keep your. How many people would be on the side of get rid of it?
That's actually something that they've been looking at doing. There's a whole thing on that, and I was like, really? That would not most people leave?
Well, you know how many people need it, and how many people are just have it there because it's there, and actually that could be the tipping point.
I think that would make them crumble. I mean, from a business perspective, that would probably be the worst idea in today's world. But I don't know. They might have a different agenda. But
WhatsApp have happened to be taking out full-page adverts in global newspapers to ask people to stay with them because of what's happening at the moment.
Well,
they've been taking out full-page adverts around the world.
I loved it. I mean, I've been in Telegram for 4.5 years. So within the first year Telegram started, I had that, you know, thing, and I was looking at wanting to create a channel and thinking, but no one else is on it.
Should have invested.
You what? Sorry.
Should have invested.
I know, if I wasn't stupid with my financial decisions. But this is why I'm learning about finance, because I can make sense. But I literally was on Telegram as like one of the within the first year. No one else was on it. And now I look at it and I'm like, I got the little notification the other day, like 25 million people joined Telegram in 72 hours. And that shows, even if the reason why obviously was the whole Trump thing, not everyone's supporting Trump. Most people don't like Trump, but they actually are here to vote for free speech, and they don't think they're going to get it. So they did one. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. It's not about the individuals. It's actually about our free speech. Where do we go? And they all went on Telegram. But did you see the thing that happened with Signal? I don't know if any of you lot. So
yeah, it's crashed. It's gone down because of so many.
No, so Elon Musk announced that everybody should move over to Signal, and loads of investors didn't realize that they basically went and put their money behind something called Signal Advanced or something, which is nothing to do with Signal, the actual app, which is a non-profit organization. So loads of people put all their money into this random company called Signal, and the value of it went crazy and through the roof, and people made loads of money on it, pulling their money out really quickly. But yeah, he kind of changed the game for the markets and thinking everyone's investing in Signal, and it's like, no, wrong company. But he's made
again. Elon Musk again is like I think an indictment on our capitalist system, but that's a whole other
story. Yes,
whole other story.
I hope he goes to Mars and never comes back, but that's just my idea. But on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and obviously for joining me, guys. It's really good. Danny, I know it's your first time. You will be back, I'm sure. Now you know it's easy. Are you coming back? Are you going to come back?
Watch this space. Don't make any promises.
There you go. I'll figure out a subject.
It's nice, speaking to other people, connecting and chatting about what's going on. It's nice.
Yeah, exactly. And Joanna, we need to book you back in for your next one. I don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah, I'd love to. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm not on WhatsApp.
Obviously, I'm not. Okay, cool. Yeah, whenever you're ready. I've got obviously free time right now. I'm not going out. No one is.
Perfect. And then Joel, you are on Who's Your Daddy?
I am indeed. Yes, that's next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Who's Your Daddy is next week. Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's amazing. We did get some comments, by the way. I'll just read them out. By the way, Ice Age Farmer, I love that one. And Curtis Stone, Urban Farmer channels are amazing on this subject. So they're actually really interesting. I'm looking to get both of those interviewed. And then somebody says, I have a great growing channel. Thank you very much. Very happy with that. And people are waking the fuck up. And there's loads of people who are supporting all of the businesses who are pushing back on illegal mandates, and they're voting with dollars. That's it. We make our votes with the money that we spend. Where do we spend our money? That's what we want to see coming forward. And so if anybody's interested in joining the Great Connection Festival, which happens on the 31st of January, you can find out more information about it. But it's all about mental health. It's going to be quite a good day. There's going to be speakers and loads of music channels on there, and I'm co-hosting for them. So you can get the link below and check that out. And if you want to check out any of the guys that have joined me tonight, you can find them on the links below. I will drag Danny back. I know he's thinking, oh, when's she going to get me back? But I'll find a subject that he can't help but talk about, and then he's going to say yes. For everyone else, we will see you tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow I have Jonathan Goldman, who is the world's leading one of the world's leading sound healers, coming on to talk about the power of humming with his wife Andy, and we will be going deep into that conversation. So if you're into sound healing, it'll be an hour's chat with Jonathan, which I think will be quite interesting, and he may be doing some practices for everyone to get a bit chilled in their Sunday night sound groove. So we'll see you tomorrow at 7. I'll say goodbye to everyone on the stream. Everyone else stay on the call for a second.